So there we have it. We popped a string. Usually that happens when we're tuning it too high. So first thing is we make sure we have our eyeballs, and these things can be a little dangerous. So we want to make sure that nothing happened. We're not losing any limbs. And then we figure out how we're going to tell Mom that we just broke the new guitar. And so usually these guitars come with a pack of strings, although they don't tell you how to change them. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that, and how do we change a pop string. So when we pop the string, usually there's a little bit of a fragment of a string that sticks down in the bridge, so we want to flip that over, and you'll see it coming out. Usually if it's not, it's kind of lodged in there, so you can use something to get it out, like an extra string, but usually it'll come out, and we want to make sure to sit that somewhere safe, or put it right in the trash, because they can be sharp and you don't want them going to your wife's feet or your parents' feet. So let's go ahead and put that over there. And then we're going to move down to the headstock. So there's that fangled mess. We want to go ahead and try to get this out of here. We want to be real careful, because the last thing we want to do is prick our fingers, and that doesn't feel good, and definitely doesn't encourage playing a whole bunch of guitar when your fingers hurt, you know. So we're going to pull that out, and then we're going to kind of roll this up until like a little winding, kind of like you found the new string, and also sit that either in the trash or somewhere safe until you're done. So now we'll go back to the body of the guitar. Here we have our new string, usually found wound up, and we'll unwind it and then flip the guitar over again and try to feed this right through here. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, sometimes it goes through right away. Take your other hand, pull that up through here. So now we're going to pull the string up to the headstock, and we're going to make sure that our tuning peg, the hole there, is kind of facing about 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, somewhere around in there. And then we're going to pull the string around the tuning peg and then up and over the string that's bypassing it. So now that I have this here, I'm going to pull this taut, and then back down at the neck. I want to show you something. I want to keep this about this far away and keep some tension on it. This is going to help us so that once we start tuning up, it's not going to be so hard to tune up. It'll kind of keep the string from coming undone, and that can kind of be a mess sometimes. So what we're going to do, let's go ahead and pull that taut. Now we have a good tight hold on that. We can kind of pull this up. This is going to keep the string locked in there. So, kind of make a little angle on that. And then the next thing we'll do is we'll start winding. Remember, keeping that tension on that string. So instead of doing this with my hand like this the whole time, there's also some really cool little tools they have out there that are just tuning peg winders. I'll go ahead and grab one of those to show you. These are very useful little tools, and can be awesome in aiding you to tune these up a lot quicker, getting the string on there a lot quicker, especially sometimes in live use, or if you're just trying to tune up for a lesson, so it'll get that string back on there much quicker than your hand can. Plus your wrist won't be so tired, you'll be able to play guitar for a little longer. So we're going to put that on there and just wind up. Remember, keeping that tension on that string. Once it's tight, want to make sure it's kind of taut. And we have a good couple winds on there. 2 or 3 winds are good, and that's going to keep that nice. And then what we'll do before we cut that, I always like to stretch the string just a little bit. So let's cut back over to the fretboard, and we're going to kind of just give it a couple light tugs. Remember, we don't want to rip it out again, like, make sure it doesn't break or anything, but just to get a little bit of loosen on it. And then we're going to tighten it up a little more again. And then let's go back down there. We're going to go ahead and cut the excess off. So now I have a nice pair of pliers that'll work good for this. It's just going to cut right on the top, leaving just a little nub. That way it's not too prickly, so that when I'm tuning I don't catch any of those strings and really jab myself. So remember, we want to get rid of all that excess string. It can be real harmful, that kind of like little needles there, so we don't want to leave those on the ground anywhere. So now that we've learned all the different parts of the instrument and how to change our strings and tune them up, we're going to go ahead and get into our first lesson and start to play.